Yo, what up guys? Welcome back to Sneaker Stories. As always, I'm your host Chris Jack. Today, a pair of shoes I've been dying to get my hands on for quite some time since the first leaked images online appeared. It's none other than the new 4D from Adidas, the 1.0 Run. Without further ado, let's check them out. Alright, so before I get into the review of the shoe itself, I just want to talk about this huge elephant in the room with this particular pair, at least locally here in South Africa. My DMs have been lighting up since the release of these, where the price point was released at a hell of a lot more than it was everywhere else in the world. Now, this particular shoe in the US retailed for $220. That's the same price as a Yeezy 350 V2, and that basically translates to 3,499 Rand if we were to look at the price comparison between the 350 V2 in the States and what it retails here for locally in South Africa. Now, this shoe, being the same price in US dollars, should have retailed at 3,499 Rand, or at least somewhere around there. However, unfortunately, when it dropped, the price was 5,499 Rand, a whopping 2,000 Rand more than what the expected retail should have been on this particular pair. And that's something that's really conflicted me with this particular pair. And I only bought this pair to review, and I did actually want it in my collection, but kind of knowing the price is out by that much, locally speaking, it just doesn't really feel right paying that amount of money for this particular one. Now, if you are watching from the US or any other territories where this price point was a lot lower than what you've currently seen, being the cheapest 4D on the market, even cheaper than what the Alpha Edge came in at, then that's absolutely awesome for you guys, because I do think this shoe is an absolute winner by itself. So I'm going to try, for this review's sake, not let the price point affect me too much on this. I have no idea why it came in so expensive, but it's just frustrating, because I get so many DMs all the time about people who want to get into the 4D technology, but just, the price points have just been too high, and everybody's been waiting for the price of 4D to get mass adoption and come down, just generally speaking, so then they can get their feet into a pair. And this was supposed to be it. Like, really, this was, in my opinion, supposed to be that shoe, but unfortunately it's not, at least for everyone. So I'm going to do my best to not let that influence the review, because as I mentioned, I do think this is an incredible shoe. They've made some amazing upgrades to it and really cool design details on the pair. So the first thing I'm going to get into is the midsole and outsole in here. This is the first generation 4D midsole, which came with the original consortium runners. Just to compare it to the Alpha Edge, this is the second generation midsole over there. You can tell it's a lot more streamlined and slick, and it's a shape that I much prefer on the 4D models myself. And I also do find it a little bit more comfortable. It's a little bit more squishy on foot. There's just something about it which I definitely prefer to the second generation midsole. So that was the biggest plus, seeing this come back on the 4D Run 1.0. And while I got the Alpha Edge out here, another big feature that they've managed to change on this particular 1.0 Run over here is the outsole. So on the Alpha Edges and pretty much every other 4D that is released to date, barring the original sample pairs and Friends and Family, which had a slightly variant Continental rubber outsole with holes in it, they've all come with completely solid black Continental rubber outsoles. However, on this pair over here, they've completely changed that, and just look how beautiful this outsole of the shoe is. It's basically a translucent rubber which allows you to see right through into that 4D lattice system in the midsole. It doesn't have any Continental branding on it. It almost looks like it's been 3D printed itself, but I'm pretty sure it's just a mold. And as mentioned, the greatest beauty about having this, at least while it's new, is being able to see directly into the midsole. That's one of my favorite features of 4D. I mean, let's be honest, it's the standout feature of the shoe. It's a brand new midsole technology and material, of course, and just looks incredible on foot, at least in my opinion. To be able to see right through there is just absolutely awesome. The possibilities with colorways with this translucent rubber on future pairs is just really exciting to me. Now, from a grip and traction point of view, I really think that this is actually going to be pretty good. My initial thoughts when I took it out the box is I was just going to be sliding around the place. However, that's not really the case. There's so many different little knoblets and things like that all over this outsole here, it really does create a good traction surface for you on foot. Now moving into the upper of the shoe, this is a completely new upper on the 4D Run 1.0. The majority of the upper is a synthetic mesh, which is done in a dual layer, and it has a whole bunch of awesome touch points and design features on it, including all these little orange threads that have been stitched into that top layer of mesh throughout the shoe, creating this awesome 1.0 pattern on the shoe. Now from a pattern perspective, it definitely follows the 1.0 Ultra Boost inspiration just in terms of its shaping. In fact, they even went as far as to stitch that on in the Friends and Family pair, which Sam Handy from Adidas Running, the creator of the shoe, posted a photo of a Friends and Family version, which basically has that stitch right through, and it really looks like a 1.0 Ultra Boost on there. That's something I really wish they had done on all of the pairs, but nonetheless, it's kind of represented in here with these different little threads in different places to create this upper pattern on the shoe. Then just over that pattern, you've got a whole bunch of fused overlays here in the toe box section, the lacing eyelets and heel section of the shoe, and these are done in an iridescent coloring, so it's kind of this pinky sheen to it when you move the shoe from left to right. In the heel section of the shoe, you have an understated Adidas performance logo here. That's just done in an orange color on that iridescent pink, so it kind of falls into the coloring of the shoe itself. And just above that, again, you've got this sort of pearly white, also iridescent-y kind of color heel counter, which is just basically being glued onto the heel section of the shoe, just providing a little bit more support for your ankle. However, in the material section around the heel section over here, there is definite ribbing inside of there to increase the structure of that, also just adding more support for your heel in the shoe. Then right above that, something that's quite different from a design aesthetic point of view, there is so much padding in the heel section of the shoe. You guys can just see it from that angle over there. Something I'm not really 100% sure I'm that sold on, but it is so comfortable on foot. It really grips your Achilles tendon there and keeps your foot solid inside of the shoe. From a lacing perspective, they have added some details in here. You've got a flat pair of orange laces, but then just on the aglets, they've paid homage to the company that actually produces these 4D midsoles, Carbon, and there you'll see it just spelt out on both aglets of the shoe. The tongue itself is a standalone tongue on this particular pair, so you do have quite a bit of freedom of movement with the tongue on the shoe. It's quite nice to be able to get into the shoe by pulling that tongue forward. Sometimes that's not always possible when it's stitched in or if it's a sock-like prime knit construction on the shoe. However, that works really nicely with this pair. It kind of adds a little bit of a retro feel to it as well. Just on the top of the tongue, which is done in the same material as the rest of the upper, you do have an Adidas performance logo, and that is on both sides of the shoe. Now from an insole perspective, you just got standard insoles here. These are done in a gray coloring with a 4D logo, and that's done on both heels of both shoes. This is a pretty standard insole that we've seen on other 4Ds. And then when you take a look inside of the shoe, you'll notice that they have left the window open to see right through to the top of the ladder system in the midsole there itself. Now from a size perspective, I did take a true to size UK 9 in this particular pair, and it fits me absolutely perfect. It's probably the best fitting 4D that they have created to date. I've always had a bit of a struggle with going a half size up or half size down depending on the different 4D models. However, this one is absolutely bang on true to size. That is 100% for sure. Now from a pricing perspective, I did speak about this quite heavily in the beginning of this review. You know, it's just one of those unfortunate things. I don't know if it's an import cost that they've just had to pay to get these shoes here. I really don't know what it is, and I don't know if there's going to be a price adjustment down the line or if they will eventually go on sale. As it stands, they haven't sold out at all. I think only a UK 11 is sold out locally here in South Africa, and I think mostly around the world they are still available in most sizes, even at the lower price point that you've seen in the States at $220, etc. But that said, having been a massive fan of 4D technology in the past, and you can just see from the wall behind me, none of these shoes have come in at below 5,000 Rand. So perhaps it's not that far out of what 4D technology should be. I think it's just a bit of a hindrance to buy these because of knowing how much cheaper they were overseas. But who knows, maybe we'll see a price adjustment on future models of these here locally on Adidas South Africa. I'm really hoping that that will be the case, because I really would love to get these in some of the other colorways that are set to come in the future. But that's pretty much all I got to say for this particular pair. If you guys do have any further questions, you know where to drop them in the comments section below. Please give this video a thumbs up if you have enjoyed it, and please don't forget to subscribe for more content like this down the line. But that's all from me. I'll catch you on the next one.